Happy Tuesday. Ain't as cute as it was yesterday as far as the weather, but it's still looking good out there as far as being able to move and not worry about slush and rain. Be a Voice Radio Wisconsin Voices here with Bryan Sanders, community outreach organizer for Wisconsin Voices, alongside our executive director, Mr. David Bowen. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. I don't know if I'll say it's not as cute. It's looking pretty clean on Capitol Drive right now.
Oh yeah, you talking about? Oh, you want the stat? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
see city workers out there holding it down. They're getting in those
I'm very happy to see
medians
that.
and they're cleaning it up. And
Hey
you
Jermaine,
know
we was talking about that.
that's government spending
Yeah,
right there. That's
yeah. We
government.
was talking about the other week
Yeah,
the little location right here, how it
yeah.
was had a lot of trash, and they have done a great job
See, but
cleaning that out. So shout out to the city of Milwaukee over here.
now, I mean, it is giving shout out to him. Thank you. But my question is, why did it take so long?
There you go.
Why
That-
did it take
It
so
seemed like
long?
it was doing that end of the fall type of, with the leaves type of
No,
cleanup.
because you want it to look nice during the
Summertime. That
Yeah,
because
there
you've been
you
looking
go.
at that for how long, and it was looking like that.
It was like
And
months.
man,
Because we've been over here for a long time. We've been over here consistently every Monday and
come
Tuesday.
on, man.
Yeah.
It's so my question is, and like, why is it that we are the last to get
The cleaning, the
cleaning,
priority.
the pavement,
Yeah.
the concrete, the flowers on the island? Why is it that we are the last to get?
I got it real quick. That could be a question for. I would even like to talk to any city workers or former city workers, especially ones that are retired. Anybody on there that's listening, 80s, 90s cities workers, tap in with us. Why does it take? Why does it go through Northside? What's the system that's set up? Like, is there like a project? Is there like a project list and it shows like we can hit these, important places first, and then we go off into the, I guess, the less,
Well,
what they
these are
say.
budget decisions, right? So it comes down to you definitely got the folks that do the day-to-day work, but it
Yeah.
comes down to how much are we going to spend prioritizing to pay staff to be out there either 4 times a year, 2 times a year,
Right.
1 time a year,
Right.
right?
So if that's
Because
the
all of
case-
that adds up.
so if
That
that's the
makes
case,
a lot of
then
sense.
that means that they is certain places that are on the priority list to go first. Because then you
There is an order.
Okay.
There's an order. You can't do it all at the same time. And if let's say the department gets smaller,
Right.
you used to have 10 people to do that job, and now
Right.
that department's down to 5. 5 people got to go around and do the work that 10 people were doing, and it's only so much that you could do.
I get that, but it do seem like we get the last.
Yeah.
I mean, just from looking, over the years of you got this certain area get done quicker and it's smooth. It's great to drive through,
Mhm.
and then you come.
Gentlemen, and that is that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And a
Oh,
lot
yeah,
of, and a
okay,
lot of
okay.
times
That
we-
happens too.
We don't complain.
You don't put in that request.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you're calling in and you have a rapport and a relationship with your elected officials, trust me, they respond.
Now,
I mean,
another angle of
I
that
do
is
agree
you
with
also
that.
have the dynamic where it comes down to, yes, the people that complain, yes, the budget, and then just also how do neighbors step up as well. Because you also recognize, like, okay, if they can only come 4 times out of the year, who's going to make up the other 4?
Yeah.
Right. So then if they come every 2 months, we can come up every 1 month. We can pop up every season.
Yeah.
What does that look like too? These are dynamics that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
And usually at some point in the year, it would have been like a cleanup. I feel like there was no community focused cleanup
Right.
like right there either,
Yeah.
because usually it is definitely groups and especially a couple of the groups in the city of Milwaukee that they grab their bags, but sometimes you just miss spots. Because I've been out here and cleaned up
Yeah.
multiple sides of the city this year, and I would love to see. Matter of fact, I need to ride past some places and just see, because a couple spots we hit like August, like
see
July
how
and
it's looking
August. I
now.
just want to see what it's looking like now, because I mean it was some heavy stuff that we was grabbing. It wasn't like we was grabbing just everyday trash. It was dish detergent bottles with aluminum like pans that you cook the food in on Martin Luther King Drive. It was like a whole bunch of that in the corner, and my bag looked like I had been working out there for 2 hours. I only had been out there for 20 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah,
trash?
right there on MLK. Then we went back to that liquor store right there on MLK and Center, right around the corner from my
Yeah,
uncle's auto body
yeah.
shop.
Yeah.
And man, right there, it was just like embedded into the dirt. I still want to go back over there and grab that stuff out of there. I just want to have something to
Yeah.
jack it up out of there with. But
Mhm.
it was so much. It was like cans like embedded into the dirt right in front of there. Like, and it's a project right there actually for anybody to to beautify like the city or whoever right on that corner. It will look good. And I actually had another idea for a place that needed to be beautified. It's a big slab of wall right here on Atkinson, right by the freeway, 43.
Yeah.
And it's just ugly with
It's
different two
ugly,
different paint. There needs to
yeah.
be like a north side mural
Is that a
put right
mechanic
there.
shop right there?
Oh no, this is like right on the freeway. Like if
Right
you
there.
you know how
You
on
know.
freeways, you know what I'm talking about. Right,
Oh,
but
it's
like
like
if you
the
getting off
freeway
of
wall.
freeway
I see what
wall,
you're
like on
saying.
Atkinson, but it's different colors and it's really entering into the north side. And there should be some type of like mural that represents like the history of like MLK, Atkinson, all that area, the 53206. It should be a mural slab right there, that so the people that's coming up in and out of 43 every day that don't care about that side of town that they driving through, there should be a mural put right there.
Yeah.
Something
I would
look
love
at.
to advocate for a mural right
Gotcha.
there. I don't even know who to talk to, but I don't know if that's DOT or if that would be considered a district thing, a county thing. But
Well, you know, you could always start. You can always start with your alderman, alderwoman.
all the women,
give
they're
them a
right there. Who
call.
is right there?
Start
is that,
there.
Is that Malay? That might be Malele.
If it's the state, start with your state representative,
Yeah.
your state senator.
But
Give them a call.
It's funny that you know that wall though, because
Yeah.
it stands
I
out.
think I know what you're talking
As
about.
soon as
It's
like,
two tones because I think
Yeah.
somebody was like
They would,
graffiti on it or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think
they
so.
use paint to cover part
Yep.
of it.
But it's the ugliest.
It's not
Yeah.
looking
It
good.
ain't even appeasing. It's like,
Yeah.
I also don't like the you ever see those train bridges when you
Oh
on
my
like Fond du
God,
Lac
Yeah.
and
yeah, that's
Locust?
terrible.
yeah.
they rust out really bad
Terrible.
Yeah.
and nobody ever like power washes it or like spray washes it and
They
then paint over it because it needs that joint never been painted for the last since I've been
And then
born.
never right.
Since I've been born.
It's
Doc, I'm in my
best.
40s. I'm gonna
Yeah,
say
it's the same, right?
I've
Say
never
that.
seen I've seen it rusty all my life.
that part.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, that's another little project. I mean, these little things could just beautify
I do
different
it.
parts of the city
I
that so does giving that real grit and grimy type of image, especially in the wintertime too.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, little things right there could just make our side of town just look
I
better.
think it'll make it look better.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
make it look
Or
better.
the style of town we grew up on.
I mean, I remember, back in the day, just this island right here. It used to be a point in time that they was, they'll whatever come out and cut it, but then they'll put like flower beds in the island.
Yeah, I don't think so.
make
This
it
one
look-
got it, but some of
Yeah.
the other ones got the flower
Yeah,
beds.
and it's
Mhm.
it's like now it's like
You know what I picked up too though? Sometime in some spots of the city, because of the accidents, and I started seeing this like in like the 2010, 11, 12s. It seemed like they just was like, all right, y'all keep crashing into these areas, or y'all keep like running the curb right here, and they messing up. I've seen like places across the city where like the flower beds and the plant beds was destroyed because of reckless driving.
Mm.
Yeah, and that right there does piss me off too, because there's people actually that take their time and do that. Like I watched my
Yeah.
granny
Yeah.
for years
Man.
planting
Yeah.
flowers in the
Yeah.
in the garden. And you used to be out there all day and watching the folks in the city. They be over there doing that all day,
Yeah.
beautifying. I watched
Yeah.
people in Brown Deer. They get it in too. They was
Yeah.
out there
and
doing
they
it.
work hard doing it for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I definitely will see them
Out there in that
every
80-degree
summer.
plus humid weather. So
Now, good point Debo brought up. I forgot there was a study years ago about how quick the city will respond to service requests
oh
on different sides of town. So that study did expose there was a difference
yeah Yeah.
and like a
Yeah.
delay, a
Yeah.
significant delay
yeah it is
for the black neighborhoods of the city.
because
That was a thing at one point.
Yeah, and I really believe that because it was a point in time a lot of people was complaining about potholes on Fond du Lac.
Mm.
And you wouldn't see nothing happen on Fond du Lac. Like it would still be the same for a long time.
Mm.
So it's like, how much noise do you gotta make? Why do I gotta bang this harder than everybody else?
Mm.
Just so I can get some type of help.
Fair.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm riding a skateboard, man.
More of the
Can't-
story is
You can't even do
our
that.
side of the city, our neighborhoods deserve to look good too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We all have a role in that.
Yeah.
And hopefully we all are being vocal as well as stepping up with our own time. Vocal to the city, vocal to the proper authorities, and then also using our own energy to get it done.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nobody coming to save us but us.
Yeah. That's what my guy was saying yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to put the work in our hands. Before we get to our guest today, I did have one little topic that I thought just got to go back into it. It looks like the Republican lawmakers yesterday, or I'm guessing that was yesterday, introduced a bill to make sexual grooming of children a felony. And I know one of my guys brought this up today, and I was seeing if you seen anything about it. But this is my first time hearing about it, I guess, this morning. But it was one of the first articles. So I guess sexual grooming of children will be a felony crime in Wisconsin under a new bill from Republican lawmakers. The proposal comes as State Superintendent Jill Underly is under scrutiny over how the state's education department handles allegations of grooming and sexual misconduct by licensed school staff. So the proposal would define grooming and sets prison sentences to 10 to 25 years for those convicted. Those legislative action follows scrutiny of the state's education department over its handling of teacher misconduct allegations. Governor Tony Evers has previously indicated that a clear legal definition of grooming would help law enforcement address the issue. So we have seen over the years in a lot of cases where there's been, something in like a celebrity space or even locally, how this has been an issue over the years, especially in the city of Milwaukee. Have you seen this, or is this something that you've been hearing a lot of conversation about lately in just in your spaces, or is this like a new topic that has been coming around? Have a lot of the Democratic folks been talking about this one?
I haven't heard that directly. That has been a topic like that, and some of my experience has been around corrections issues and making sure that we have spaces that actually rehabilitate folks, that actually support trauma-informed approaches, especially with young people, and protecting young people in those spaces. I think that's really important. So I think, I haven't heard that directly, but I'm sure if the governor's speaking on that, it's one of the top issues right now. And then, put on top of that, we've had some really bad examples of corrections or prison spaces. And if it's a true correction space, right, it's supposed to make you better.
Yeah.
Not make you worse. And we have some really bad examples of Wisconsin facilities, particularly making people worse.
Yeah.
Right. Creating worse outcomes. By the time they go through that experience and they are re-traumatized, or they have additional experiences that set them back, negative experiences that set them back, and they come back to our community, they're only more likely to go back to those same facilities again.
Yeah.
End up in a position where they're recidivizing or reharming the community, reharming themselves over again, and then it turns into a cycle. So I appreciate the governor for speaking out on that, and I'm sure some of the legislators are probably paying attention to stuff like that. It sounds like the administration is very much aware of that. And then, also we are in an age where we're calling out instances where that type of abuse is not being tolerated anymore. And at least having some level of empathy for the folks that are in a position, especially women and girls and boys, minors, that are, you talk about grooming, we're seeing instances where a lot of folks are being harmed by actions like that.
Yeah.
So, and we're seeing it with celebrity cases. We're seeing it with, these dynamics where people aren't tolerating that type of behavior anymore, and that we deserve better in how we treat people. So what do you think?
I think that, in a lot of these spaces, it seems like some of these people have been able to get away with these grooming tactics for years because nobody has looked at it. Some people have seen it as more like caretaking, or like you looking out for somebody, especially if it's like a kid that came from a space of maybe foster care or adoption care or whatever the case may be, and they see these vulnerabilities. And sometimes with people with these with money and influence have been guilty of these grooming situations, and some that just have opportunities. So I really think that how they define or get to the point of looking at how they're going to determine what's a grooming situation and what's just somebody caring, taking, there's going to be if this does get passed, or after this this has been introduced, and once it gets passed and they come up with whatever else, I'm sure there's going to have to be a lot of I guess, I don't know what you call them, like, I don't know, it's not a sub law or some type of little, strong, what would you call it? I guess everything underneath, what would you call it, man? Help me out here. everything. I wouldn't be like a sub law, but everything underneath that, when it comes to like trying to convict a person, I was guessing, it's gonna have to be watched at, or it's gonna have to be paid attention to with a lot of attention, because you can mistake something for being grooming and then it's actually be a care service. But a pattern of being with a minor that's not akin to you, and you're not mentoring them in a safe space. So I'm sure you'll be able to identify that. So I'll be interested in seeing how they'll be able to set up the laws around this too. So
Gotcha.
That's what I was trying to say.
Awesome. Well, we have a great guest calling in, and we can switch gears with State Senator LaTonya Johnson. Welcome to B Voice Radio on WNOV.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. State Senator, you are busy and active these days. How are things going? I know right now you're calling in from Madison.
Yes, things are going at a very quick pace right now in Madison. We are gearing up toward the end of session, which we're anticipating somewhere around February, March. So things are running full speed ahead in terms of us trying to push things through committees to get them to the floor before the end of session.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, educate us on how long does it look like session will go this year or into next year?
So unfortunately for the state Senate, we have worked fewer sessions this election cycle this year than ever before. We're only at about 8, which is completely and totally unheard of. But my Republican colleagues can't seem to agree on anything, so then that makes the session go a lot slower and be a lot less productive than it typically is in a standard year. So we're anticipating the session to go through at least March. We do have one calendar date for March that we're holding for, but some people think that we'll be done around February, that it won't be a long session this time because everybody's going to be hitting the campaign trail and running for re-election in terms of everybody in the assembly, and then those senators that are up for odd years in the Senate.
Interesting. I do appreciate my experience being able to serve with you and go to bat for the community, and deal with these dynamics where the time to be able to advocate for the community is being shortened on purpose to pretty much prevent you from being able to make progress. So I know those dynamics can be frustrating, but you're one of the best that we have, and we appreciate what you do to navigate in those spaces and under those dynamics.
Thank you. And thank you for what you do now, too, because that's extremely important. I would argue that that's more important than being behind these walls in this building, because with everything that's going on now, it's more imperative, it's more important that the community understands how their government works in order to get anything from it. One of the things that continuously frustrates me in this building is that, especially for Black and brown people, Black in particular, our disparities are not getting better. As a matter of fact, they continue to get worse.
Yeah.
And they're continuing to get worse because we see fewer and fewer resources being put into the pot to address those disparities. And, we can equate that to where the majority party represents it's not Milwaukee. It's not Dane County. You see Dane County continue to grow. You see Dane County continue to prosper, and that's a good thing. And sometimes people like to compare Milwaukee to Dane County, but it's a night and day difference. The median income level for someone in Dane County is roughly $87,000, and you're looking at $52,000 in Milwaukee. The median resale value of a home in Milwaukee is around $200,000. It's $400,000 in Dane County. So until people understand that, really understand that majority rules, it doesn't matter what you want to get done for your community. It doesn't matter how hard you fight, how hard you try. If you can't get cooperation from the majority party, then you're not going to be able to turn those tides or to get anything done for the community. And sometimes it's so frustrating because you hear people from the community frustrated, and they're like, well, it doesn't matter who I vote for things are not going to change, not understanding that it's the process of majority rules. And as long as the majority continue to look the same as it does right now, we're going to have a very hard time to get anything done for those people who need it the most.
Mm. As you talk about the dynamics there, and what you're hearing from folks on the ground, as we look to 2026, is there anything that gives you hope that we could be more effective in this work, that we could be more effective in how we connect with people?
There are a lot of things to make us more effective. First of all, trying to get everybody involved. And I think that that's the thing that people don't understand, right? When you get people who say sometimes, I'm not going to vote, my vote doesn't matter, it doesn't count. Well, when you continuously get multiple individuals who think like that, who feel like that, then that hurts our community the most, because the people who need the most help live in our communities. And if the vast majority of our community members are failing to turn up or to show up and to elect those people that really care, that are going to go out here and do the work regardless of what the pay is, to make sure that the community is kept first in mind, you're going to continue to see what you get, or to get what you get. So that, and making sure that you have people that stay active, right? You can't leave it all up to electeds to get the word out about what's going on. That's our job to do that, but we have to remember everything comes at a cost. I represent 170,000 people, and in order for me to get something in the mailbox for 170,000 people, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So the only thing that we can really do are those things that are free. We can put it in the media. We can put it on social media. We can do those things, but it's up to the community to pay attention. And sometimes we don't have that happening. And for the things that most impact the community, having people to come up and testify, to say how it's going to impact their community, all of that helps. It's really disheartening sometimes when you go to bat for your community and then you turn around and there's nobody behind you, who's going to bat for you while you go to bat for them. And so just making sure that we all do our part, especially now with no SNAP benefits. There are a lot of things that the community can do, right? If you have extra chicken at your dining room table, and you know that there are kids in your community that may not have anything to eat, give them a piece, right? If you see a kid walking down the street and it's the dead of winter and they're walking in a hoodie and coats are on sale at Walmart, buy them a coat. We can't expect government to come to our rescue, because we've seen now that they're not only willing to not come to our rescue, but they're willing to allow to basically sacrifice us, right? Because government always talks about the middle class. They very seldomly ever mention those people who are just trying to make it into the middle class. And those are the people that we need to watch out for. We need to watch out for them as a community, but also watch out for them in government too, to make sure that the people that we elect do our jobs by representing them as well.
Yeah, that's a really good breakdown. We are here to be partners, especially in engaging the community and do everything that we can. We know that you are taking lead on some really important issues and priorities right now. I know reckless driving is one of them, and we'll get into that. Are there any other issue areas that you are championing right now and I know you've done a lot of work on children and family issues. Let's talk about some of the priorities that you may have in those areas, or other issue areas.
So right now, two of my biggest projects that I'm trying to push across the finish line before this session ends is the missing child alert. I had a little boy that lived 5 houses from me who went missing. MPD tried on 2 separate occasions to get him an Amber Alert and was unsuccessful because Amber Alerts are only for kids where there is a vehicle description or a suspect description. If you don't have that, your child doesn't qualify for an Amber Alert. But we were also seeing Amber Alerts being used selectively for certain kids that even didn't make that criteria. The Missing Child Alert will send out an alert that's similar to an Amber Alert for children under the age of 10. Now, what makes this such a critical piece is that it unifies our missing child alerts throughout all 72 counties. Every child is eligible for the same alert. And that's an alert to your cell phone within a 5-mile radius of where that child first went missing, which is extremely important in those first few hours. So we were able to do kids 10 and under with the last bill that we had. With this bill, we're raising that age to children under 12. We had to limit the age the first time because it was an unfunded mandate. The Department of Justice was required to do this, and they didn't have any additional funding. We were able to get them 2 additional employees, and so now we're raising that age to children under 12. The other thing that I'm working really hard on is the Green Alert. That is for missing veterans in honor of a veteran that went missing. His name was Corey Adams in Milwaukee. Right now, the Green Alert alerts the community to veterans who have gone missing as a result of their tours of duty, whether that's PTSD, suicidal intentions. What we realized is that that alert was not functioning the way that it was supposed to because it had to be related to some type of disability that they received resulting from their tours of duty. We're going back and we're fixing that, and we're going to make that alert eligible for every single veteran. If you served and you go missing, you deserve to be looked for. So 2 out of the 4 active alerts that we have in the state of Wisconsin was created from my office. And so we just want to make sure that we get them all running the same way like they're supposed to, so we can make sure that we give everybody an opportunity to be found. Speaking of children and families, this is a bill that's near and dear to my heart. We won't be introducing it this session, but of course, when we come back in 2027, we will. Right now, people think that if their children, if there's ever an encounter with police, that they have to be notified while that child is being questioned, that they have to have a parent there, and that's not the case in the state of Wisconsin. Nobody is entitled to representation unless they are charged, which means if your child gets stopped by police and they're just having a conversation with your child, they don't have to notify you, not until the child is charged. We want to change that. We want to make it in the state of Wisconsin, especially for children 12 and under, that if they have interactions with police, that there has to be a parent or a guardian or some type of representation present during that questioning. We know that some of our kids suffer from cognitive delays, and them giving one wrong answer or not maybe understanding what it is that they're being asked can make all the difference in the world in terms of them actually facing criminal charges or not. So we want to correct that. Also, next session, something that I'm working really hard on is making sure that those individuals who have previous felonies, as long as you have a felony and it's at least 15 years or older, you haven't committed any additional felonies, we want to work on, if that's not if it's a nonviolent offense, we want to work on redeeming that felony and changing it from a felony to a misdemeanor to give people second chances. It works great for people up north because a lot of those individuals, they're prevented from actually being able to carry firearm or qualify for concealed carry, which also means that they can't hunt. You can't carry a bow and arrow or a knife or, use a gun if you go hunting. For people who are living in the urban areas, it means something else. It means that if you have a felony, you don't qualify for low-income housing. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to remove a lot of those barriers to employment and just decent quality of lives, period.
Absolutely. You're busy, and we appreciate all the things that you're working on. And I know there was, you've been serving in the state as long as I have or was. And that was that 2010, 2012.
Yeah, so I got elected in 2012,
Yeah,
sworn in
that's what it was.
2013. So yeah, I've been here for a minute.
Yeah.
And let me tell you how fast people leave this building. So I was elected to the Senate in 2016. I am
Yeah.
now the longest serving female in the state Senate, and I've only been there since 2016.
Yeah.
So people come in and they get out.
Yeah, exactly. But we appreciate all that you do. And I know that there was a number of summers, and just like with the dynamics of seeing some of the effects of violence, the effects of child deaths in state custody, and just a number of the dynamics where you were attending a lot of those funerals, you were engaging a lot of those families. And I know that had a chance to mold your leadership and the issues that you were working on. Just give us a sense of just how that has affected your leadership now, and the stuff that you're working on now.
When I first got elected, and especially children who died of gun violence, to me, that's such a senseless crime that we should be doing more for. I tried to attend all of the funerals for victims, for kids who died from gun violence. It got to be to a point that mentally for me, I had to stop, because I was seeing these babies in my sleep, in their caskets, hearing those moms, hearing the wails. It wasn't even cries, it was wails when those caskets closed. It got to be too much. And being in this building, knowing that we can do more and we don't, that hit home. A couple of years ago, maybe about 2 years ago, I went to my colleagues and I asked them to help me do something for gun violence. It didn't have to be anything for the rest of the state, just something for the city of Milwaukee. It could be just for a first-class city, because kids in my district were dying at epic numbers, right? I think that year we had for a week straight, we had a child under the age of 10 shot every single day. And then later in that year, we had another week where a child under the age of 10 was shot every single day. One of my colleagues told me, my heart aches for you, but that's not happening in my district. Another one of my Republican colleagues told me, well, gun violence is going up in every major city. It's not just Milwaukee. What do you have to say about that? And me, what I heard was, as long as those babies continue to look like you and that mess is confined to Milwaukee, it's not, that doesn't concern me, right? It's not happening in my district. And, but then the 2% sales tax, I'll use that as an example, right? So we're working hard to pass the 2% sales tax, because Milwaukee was down to its last $96 million in ARPA funding. If we didn't get that 2% sales tax, the city of Milwaukee was going to go bankrupt. That would have harmed everybody's property values. And if most Black people, they don't buy starter homes. They buy their forever homes. They buy a house and then they stay there forever, right? So the city of Milwaukee is already impoverished. You're talking about allowing everybody who lives in that city, who owns a house, for their property values to drop. So, the city came up here tirelessly, the county did, advocating for the 2% sales tax. Then on the day of the hearing, one of the authors, they asked her what would happen to the city of Milwaukee if that 2% sales tax didn't go through. She said, well, they can't file bankruptcy on their own. They would have to come here for permission. She said, but I'm just afraid that crime is going to spill out to the suburbs and the rest of the state. She said that Milwaukee was the 5th worst, I think she said, in the country, 35th worst in the nation in terms of crime, and there was a problem. They had a whole 15-minute conversation about our crime, right?
Mm.
Then the chair asked Mayor Johnson and President Perez, the money that we're about to give you, can you give us a guarantee that the crime that's paramediating out of that city, that can you give us a commitment that is going to do something to address the crime that's flowing into the suburbs? And I'm sitting up here thinking, we can't even guarantee our moms that when they send their kids outside to play, they're going to come back in safely.
Mm.
Chevy doesn't owe a commitment to anybody in the state building. He owes a commitment to the people in Milwaukee that they're going to be protected, right? But it was the arrogance of that. And then the 2% sales tax can only be used for fire and police, right? Not to protect us, but to protect them. But we needed that money anyways. This building, I have a picture in my phone of a semi-automatic gun with an extended clip that was sold to a 10-year-old from 1776 Armory. And it was intercepted by a family member who called the company and said, you just sold this gun to a 10-year-old. They told her that they have no requirement to check for age or anything because they're gun parts. The kids watch YouTube and then they put the guns together, right? After they watch these YouTube videos, because the guns are sold in pieces. First, they send you the outer mechanism, then they send you the internal workings. Then once the guns are put together, it comes with a serial number, but the kids aren't reporting that. But they can legally buy these guns. They told the relative that the only thing that they were required to do was to make sure that the credit card matched the name and the address that they were sending the gun to. How did the kid at 10-year-old get a credit card? Cash App. It's like, we know this. I work for the state and I know this. We know this, but we are not trying to protect our kids and our families. And that's a problem for me, because I realize that if we aren't looking out for our community, and we can only do so much, we can't expect this building to look out for our community either. So children and family issues are extremely near and dear to my heart. But the frustrating piece for me is knowing that a lot of these situations and struggles that we see, there are remedies and fixes for them. They just choose not to invest in those fixes at the state level, which leaves Milwaukee in peril. And that's the issue.
Wow. Thank you so much. And really breaking that down. Cause I think a lot of our listeners and just, if you don't get a chance to really understand the inner workings of the Capitol and how it creates a delay and a blockage to the solutions that we know that work, to prevent violence from happening in our community, to prevent families from being sustainable in our community. You kind of miss all of those inner workings. Some people call it like getting in the weeds, but these are the things that you have to understand about the dynamics of trying to pass policy at a statewide level that we know is beneficial, and how Milwaukee is viewed at that point too. Go ahead.
And here's something else that people don't know, right? So our schools are funded really, really heavily based on property values. So part of the zip code that I represent, 53206, before COVID, the median resale value of a house in that zip code was $4,300, right? So after COVID, it's went up a little, but not by a whole lot, right? But you have communities and municipalities like Mequon, where the median resale value is $700,000. Now, in the state of Wisconsin and across this nation, you are only entitled to a free basic education. So how does the free and basic education look if one municipality has median resale values of $700,000 and another has $4,300? So our educational system is imbalanced because of the way we fund it. And that's not all. if you have a child that goes to that goes to Milwaukee Public Schools, on average, just on average, they're worth about $16,000 sitting in that classroom. Now, if you take that same child out of the classroom at Milwaukee Public Schools and send them to Lincoln Hills or Copper Lake, which is this state's only maximum secure juvenile detention center,
Mm-hmm.
when we passed that budget, that child was worth $912,000 per juvenile offender per year.
Per year.
Per year. 16,000 in the classroom, $912,000 locked up.
Locked up. Yeah.
Now, when the governor used his veto pen, he crossed out some of those numbers. It went from, I believe, $2,600 a day to $1,500 a day. So he brought it down to $700,000. But all of our kids are worth $1 million, right? But they should not have to be worth $1 million being incarcerated in a maximum secure juvenile detention center. You know, I tell people all the time, if we use that funding to stabilize our families, then you wouldn't have to invest all that money in rehabilitation that 9 times out of 10 probably isn't going to work the way that you want it to, right? Because our criminal justice system have flaws. Everything is connected. Now, the Department of Correction, 42% of the men have undiagnosed mental health conditions, 90% of the women. And 29% of those 90% have severe mental illness.
Right.
So that tells us that we're using our prison system to incarcerate our mentally ill. So if you can fix mental illness, you can decrease the prison population. If you can fix education, you can reduce the need to even have to go into the juvenile detention centers. So if we just concentrate on the data and work on what we know, like this lack of funding, this inability to fund, but once again, these things are not happening in their districts. So these things are viewed solely as Black and brown issues.
Absolutely. You're going in right now, and we want to know if we can keep you online for another 10 minutes. Is that okay?
Yep, that's perfectly fine.
Awesome. We have to take a break on WNOV Be a Voice Radio, 860 AM. When we come back, we will talk about State Senator LaTonya Johnson's forum that she has this evening that you are invited to.
Welcome back, Big Voice Radio Wisconsin Voices. Of course, we have our wonderful guest, Senator LaTonya Johnson. It's Bryan Sanders. Hey, Senator, how you doing?
I'm fine, and yourself?
I've been just enjoying this interview this whole time, and just hearing all the work you're doing. Again, I just want to say thank you, just for all the work you're doing at the Capitol, and just everybody up there going hard. So, just to kind of get started, I know you got your reckless driving discussion coming up tonight. Can you tell the people in the community why it's so important for them to come out and only listen, but actually, if I'm sure it's a place where they be able to speak, but can you tell them why it's so important for people in Milwaukee for them to step out tonight?
It's extremely important because we know the issue that reckless driving is taking on the community. Um, Not only with just the fear of leaving your house and being caught in a reckless driving incident, but also the police chases, right?
Mhm.
What that's doing to the community, and also the cost. Because the police related chases, if innocent bystanders get hurt, there's a cost associated with that because those families sue. We want to hear what the community has to say. We want to give, the police an opportunity to present their information. It may be information that they're presenting that we don't know. And also the mayor an opportunity to address these issues. But it's also an opportunity to have this issue addressed on so many different levels, from the city of Milwaukee to the police chief himself to the district attorney and the prosecution aspect, and to the city aspect in terms of what that's costing and what they're seeing in terms of the lawsuit and the cost to the city. But it's also an opportunity for people to come and voice their issues in one place where that information is going to get to the ears of the people who need to hear it most. It's their opportunity to come out and to say what's on their hearts and minds. We want them to be respectful, of course. We want to make sure that we give everybody an opportunity to voice their issues. But the first hour is going to be used as an education hour where each of these individuals will be able to present their information from their departments regarding reckless driving. The next hour is going to be for public opinion. So we want to make sure that we give everybody an opportunity to have their voice heard. And if time runs out and we don't get a chance to address those questions, we're going to make sure that we get your contact information and we can get those answers to you, but also post them on our website so everybody can go back and hear what was said in the listening session.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. And you're throwing this in partnership with State Senator Dora Drake. And we see that on panel, you have Mayor Johnson, Chief Norman, District Attorney Laverne, and City Attorney Goike.
Yes. Both Senator Drake and I, we both know that the north side of Milwaukee is being hit the hardest in terms of the reckless driving, especially the incidents and the deaths. So we wanted to make sure that we gave those individuals who resided on the north side an opportunity to come out and speak their piece. Let's just be real. The north side of Milwaukee, we face so many different obstacles, right? With just calling the north side home. We wanted to make sure that the community knows that not only are we listening, but we care. And we're determined to find solutions and remedies to these issues using the public's input.
Absolutely. So that event is tonight from 5 to 7 at MPS Central Office in their auditorium.
Yes,
Community has a chance to come out.
5225 West Fleet Street.
There we go. Awesome.
Now, Senator Johnson, I know you and not too long ago, I think back in August, you had introduced a $60 million, I believe it was like a calming bill, or correct me
Like
if
traffic
I'm wrong,
calming?
traffic calming bill towards your, I believe, the district, right? And just calming
Right.
and calming. I have just some questions about that. One, of course, I know how you feel about it, but have you heard people saying that the traffic calming is going to kind of throw off the city, especially if they want to grow the population. Especially the mayor of Milwaukee wants to grow the population in the city, but then he wants to add this style of traffic calming that he agree with or not agree with, whoever is agreeing with the engineering of the city. Is this going to throw off if the city is trying to grow in the next 10, 15, 20 years? Will this be an issue for city growth? Especially when it comes to like our downtown areas and areas that they're still working on in this calming that I was surprised to even see calming in some of these spaces. But do you feel like that's going to throw off our city if they do decide to, or if the city is going to work to try to get back to 700, 800,000 people like they project or want to project in the next 15, 20 years? I know that's a crazy question.
I don't think that the traffic calming is going to help to decrease the population. What we're seeing now is that our population specifically on the north side is decreasing. So I represent the 6th Senate District, which is half of downtown Milwaukee's north and west sides and now parts of Wauwatosa. I used to be the only senator that represented just the city of Milwaukee. But because our population shrinks so much in my district, I now have parts of Wauwatosa. I lost 16,500 people from the 6th Senate District. Senator Drake lost 15,300. So a total of a little bit over 31,000 people left the north side compared to other Senate districts. Now, what we know, we don't know exactly where all of these people went. We do know that they left the north side. You cannot reside on the north side without living in either my district or Senator Drake's district. So these people have left. When in the 6th Senate District in particular, we went out and we surveyed parts of the district. We asked what were the number 3 issues. Number 1, gun violence. Number 2, reckless driving. Number 3 was affordability. So people are putting reckless driving ahead of the affordability piece. Now, I will say this. Some of the traffic calming measures that we're seeing, we have had people complain about the bump outs. People don't really care for the bump outs.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons that the bump outs are being put in these streets is because, especially in the 6th Senate District, so your Capitol Drive, your Fond du Lac, a lot of those areas are seeing the most car accidents. Center Street, you're more likely to be killed on Center Street than any other street in the city. And that's because a lot of those streets were made for speed rather than safety. And so Fond du Lac, Capitol, those streets are state highways. And what we need is for the state to come in and do complete streets, meaning we need the state to come in, bust those streets up, and redesign them with safety in mind.
Right.
They're failing to do that. So then that leaves the city to have to rely on their bump out measures in order to try and, calm traffic down to 1 or 2 lanes. But then you have that big ugly bump out on the side where if you run up on that bump out, you're going to go airborne depending on how fast you go and tear up your car. But for the streets that they've used that on, they have noticed that the rates of incidences and fatalities have gone down.
That's good.
Good.
Thank you for that clarification.
Absolutely. And when you bring that to the state, what is the reaction that you get to, these are state highways or state designated roadways, but, they aren't investing to the same degree that the city is to try to redesign them. But you're exactly right. Those intersections need complete redesigns.
And we get the same thing. Mom's the word. They need money. And in order for them to do those projects, there has to be money set aside through joint finance, especially during the budget, to allocate money toward those projects. And they're not doing it. So we are seeing more and more that at the state level, those things that, that would help to improve the quality of life in the city of Milwaukee, they're not investing in. And here's another piece too, and this really bothers me about Milwaukee. There is a quality of life. You hear people say sometimes, "Oh, things are the same everywhere." No, they're not. No, they're not. things are not even the same throughout my district. There are some parts of my district where their major concern is they want more recycling pickups. There are other parts of my district where people don't feel safe enough to let their kids go outside and play.
Mhm.
So things are not the same. And that level of investment matters. You know, sometimes I feel sorry for the city because people think that they have all of this imaginary money that they can invest. The reality is that Milwaukee is poor. Milwaukee is increasingly poor. We are the second most impoverished city out of the 50 most populated cities.
Yeah, thank you, LaTonya, Senator Johnson. We're winding down the show, unfortunately.
Okay.
But you're spot on, and we really appreciate you for joining us
We need
today.
to have you come back ASAP.
Thank you, and you guys have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing y'all there this afternoon.
Okay,
too.
thank you.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Be a Voice Radio on WNOV. You guys have a good day. Be careful, be safe, and bye-bye.